Hey, Mooch Crap, J-Dubs.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Mooch, Crap, J-Dub.
Hey Mooch, hey Crap, hey Jay.
What up with your Crap and Mooch and Jay with?
Wake on up. It's Mooch, it's Crap, and Jay in the morning. Wipe your eye boogies, get your coffee finished yawning. This is Mooch and Crap. Show. Wake up, let us begin with gaming news, skits, and call-ins from all the fans. No matter where you at, Cali or Pakistan, New York or New Guinea, this is where it's at. These are Xbox dudes with Xbox views on slander and hate towards Xbox news. This is Mooch and Crap. Show for the people, and they coming with it. Now do you understand? Now do you get it? Ponies love to lie and PC fans won't admit it, but Xbox hate is real and they all with it. Call in, let it ring in. We here to rock, we here to win. It's about the games, it's about the pride. Now Xbox community, come on, let's rock. Mooch and Crap. Make sure.
Mooch, Crap, J-Dub.
¿Cómo están, bitches?
Hey Mooch and Crap, hey Jay.
Hey Mooch and Crap.
What up, Mooch and Crap and Jay?
Sup, Mooch and Crap. Sup, J-Dubs.
Hello, Mooch and Crap.
What up, Mooch? What up, Crap?
Hey, what's up, Mooch and Crap?
You guys have the best damn podcast on YouTube, bar none.
Arr, you scurvy sea dogs. Time for M&C Mornings. Get watching or we'll throw you in the brig.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very special M&C Mornings. We're very happy to be joined by a phenomenal guy, Mr. Craig Duncan from Rare. He's here with us. We've also got Mooch and Jay, of course. What's up, Mooch? How's it going?
Doing very well, doing very good. Jay, if you don't mind, we could do a drum roll, please, and do a formal introduction for our guest here, Craig Duncan, today of Rare Studios. Waiting for the official drum roll. Perfect. Craig, how are you today, buddy? And welcome to M&C Mornings. We love having you as a part of the show. It's an actual honor to have the head of a major studio with us to talk the game that's going to launch, and we think is going to be a pillar of the Microsoft Studios franchises. Craig, welcome.
Thanks for the invite. I mean, I've heard sound effects. You guys have got your own theme tune. Like, you said this was just a little podcast. This is, like, IGN didn't have their own theme tune when I went on there.
Well, thank you.
You know, we go above and beyond here. We like to look at ourselves as, like, more of a radio show. That's what very much inspired us with this show. So doing interviews and stuff like that is something that we've always kind of wanted to do as well. And, man, congratulations. I mean, things must be kind of a whirlwind for you guys, the culmination of everything. You've got 2 days to go before the launch. So how you feeling so far?
Yeah, I feel great. I mean, it's funny. I was doing a bit of press last week, and I've actually thought more about the start and how we started the whole Sea of Thieves journey and where Rare's come from, and probably more in the last week than I have in the last 3 years. And I think that's just because the team's just worked so hard, so proud of all the work everyone's done. It's great seeing all the press, great seeing all the excitement, and we're just, it's literally the calm before the storm. And I'm going to try not to use sailing pirate analogies all the way through, but the last few weeks and months and I guess, a couple of years have been just this crazy whirlwind of hard work and passion and excitement. And kind of by Thursday last week, we were sort of done with the day one update and we were just playing it in the studio. And then really this weekend, we've spent a lot of time talking about like what we're going to do next week and the kind of setup we're going to have with all the telemetry and servers, and we're going to all camp in a room on Tuesday when we go live around different parts of the world and just, make sure, because again, hugely complex tech and engineering behind what we're doing. It's not just sort of launching a game. And then see, what the reaction is next week. So it's I'm talking to you guys now, and I'm this mix of excitement and trepidation, but it's nice to just be a bit quiet and just be able to kind of contemplate and just talk about the game, with people that are passionate. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
It's really great, Craig, to hear like how comfortable you are right now. Because I just recently finished, and I've been saying this on many shows now, Jason Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. And the one thing that I really enjoyed about grabbing out of that book was the information that, a lot of us gamers don't know what you guys go through. And it's been a learning process for even myself to learn what the trials and tribulations are for you guys. And I know just how stressful this past week could be. I mean, just being general, you don't have to be specific to Sea of Thieves, but is it like they were saying in that book when they were covering multiple different games that this last week is sometimes there's still some intense amount of, like, I'm going to use the words coding, etc. going on? Like they called it crunching in the book, which is normal. It's what every developer does before a release. And they say it's something that actually ties the group together so much. So you guys are already very, very tight at Rare Studios. But this last week is sometimes just before launch where you all kind of hold, hypothetically hold hands and wait for that product to go out and work so hard. You're working into the wee hours of the night.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read the book, so apologies. I can't sort of cross-reference Rare to the specific bits. But I think what's been odd. I mean, I've been making games for, I guess, 15 years now, and I've probably learned more and changed more and just grown more as a person in building Sea of Thieves and in what we've done at Rare in the last few years. And what's weird, and actually Joni, our exec producer, and I were sitting chatting about this in my office kind of Wednesday, Thursday this week. And because we'd launched, we've done all these technical alphas and we've done the closed beta and we did the final beta, like we've done the whole launch thing like time and time and time and time again on this project. So really, and I don't want to understate what day one is, but day one's like it's another one of those launches. And yes, every time we do a scale test, it's let's really push hard to get the features we want and the technical infrastructure we want in for it before. We're obviously all kind of online over that weekend when we play. And props to our services devs and our live op devs. When stuff goes wrong, they're on it at whatever time. Early hours of the morning. So the team's definitely worked super hard, but it's different to the way games used to be made, where you'd kind of build all the features, you'd then spend a few months, like you say, bug fixing and correcting final things and just doing final tweaks. Whereas we've really tried to keep Sea of Thieves live and released in a very continuous way, even though we haven't launched yet. Mm-hmm. Because our thinking is the better we are at doing that when we launch and we want to update the game and add content, like all of the muscle and things we've learned will just put us in really good stead once the game does launch.
It's funny. We saw something, and Crap actually reminded me of it as the years were passing. We kept seeing on Twitter over and over again, Rare is hiring, Rare is hiring. How big is Rare currently as far as personnel?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of variable because we have full-time staff, we have contract staff, we have vendors that we work with, and teams obviously in Xbox, like the game quality org and the release management team and the cert team that we kind of work with all the way through. Rare, like at any one time in the Rare studio, there's probably about 190 people. Mm-hmm. Probably 100. I think we're about 130 full-time staff now, and anything between 30 and 60 contractors, depending on what's going on in the studio. So we're not kind of biggest studio in the world, massive, like some of the big Ubisoft or EA teams, but we're certainly big enough to go take on, any significant challenge. It's what I like about that size is it's a big enough size that I can get everyone in our auditorium and we can talk, and the team's not too big that I don't know who everyone is, and I think team size, you talk about teams bonding together. I think team size is a big part of that. If the team gets too big, that stuff's really hard to do.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
if you were in New York, oh, no, crap, I want to hand the mic over to you. You have some intriguing questions. I just wanted to let Craig know if the Rare ever moves to New York, a resume may show up on your desk, Craig. One mooch, yes. Craig.
I was just wanted to
Right,
reset
right.
everybody, let everybody know this is Craig Duncan, head of Rare Studios, was kind enough to join us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're at. The pirate setting is such an intriguing setting. Was there ever a different kind of time or setting that you guys had toyed around with, or what were some of the ideas that you were kicking around before you came up with the pirate idea?
No, it's a great question. I think I've told this story in the press a couple of times, so I'll do the very, very abridged version of it, just so we can do other stuff. But when we were sitting back in, I guess, 2014, it was really about we knew we were going to go build a new IP. Like that was kind of that was unquestionable.
Yeah.
And then really when it was like, what is the new IP from Rare? What is the new IP from Xbox? Like it's a pretty big question. And we sat down ourselves and talked about myself, Greg, Joe, Mike, some of the core people that are still core to what Sea of Thieves is today. And really, like what was happening in gaming that excited us, and we really got passionate about this notion of players creating stories together. Could we make a game where every time you played, it would be unique, and you'd have these fantastic stories that were different every time you played, depending on who you played with and who you met, and it was really that concept. And I think Greg Mails, who's at Ghoulie Boy on Twitter, actually shared some of the original black and white PowerPoint slides, like from the really, really early pitch. And I think the title of the slide was Group Shaped Narrative. And it was like, hey, can you put people in a game where their soft skills and how they interact with each other is actually as important as the gaming ability and their sort of twitch skills and reactions, which most games normally focus on. So we got really excited about that. We thought it was new. We thought Rare could do something that no one's done before, in a way that kind of only Rare does, which is, hey, let's just go build something that's completely fresh and different and unique, and not get too stuck into other gaming conventions. And then it was really, once we had that as the kind of core, it was like, what's the right wrapper, theme, tone that enables us to do that reflects some of the things we want to do. And we had everything. Like there was I think there was dinosaurs up there at one point. I think there was, vampires and like all sorts. And to be fair, a lot of things that games have like Arcs come since then, and a ton of other stuff that didn't even exist when we were throwing around ideas, including pirates. But when we landed on pirates, it just made sense. Like everyone has a view of what a pirate does. Everyone has a view, whether it's through pirate games or, whether it's Black Sails, Pirates of the Caribbean, reading Treasure Island, playing Monkey Island, watching the Goonies, whatever your reference point is, like the sense of adventure that pirates brings, the fact we don't need to explain to people what a pirate is, the fact that you can put some players on a ship together and they automatically have this notion of a crew and a shared goal, like the theme just dovetailed perfectly with the kind of game we wanted to build. And when you do that and you're kind of asking yourself like, hey, can we do this? Like no one's ever built a game like Sea of Thieves before.
Yeah.
And I think when you're nervous and excited about, can we even go and build a game like this, you're building something that has got the potential to be incredible.
I really like what Craig said there when you said that you finalized on the pirate theme. That is something that, listen, it doesn't matter what age group we're talking about, young children up to adults. We have this image in our head of what that pirate adventure would be. And by going with it, you've kind of nailed it, Craig, where once you get launched into this land that you guys have created, we don't need anything to hold our hand, because you've given us the tools, and now we can go out there and set sail on the adventure, whether it be an adventure you would come up with yourselves or something that the game provides. The interesting thing, and I think a lot of people have been asking this, I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this on the interviews you've been on recently, but you could have gone with such different art styles. And everyone says Rare has an art style. But since this was Rare's big comeback, Who or what event was it that gave this gorgeous landscape and this art design to go with it? And it's hard to actually put a term on what Rare's creation of Sea of Thieves is. But was it a person or was it an event that sparked it and said, no, we're not going to go with these, more, I'm going to call them lifelike or realistic themes. You went more with this, the way that we would kind of envision, the way that almost like Peter Pan envisions that piratey kind of look in his mind when he was younger. Who was responsible for that, or was it a team effort?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, and this is always the hard thing with games and teams and studios. Like, it's always a team effort. And actually, if Ryan Stevenson, who is our art director, was on this podcast, he could talk about this way more eloquently and with better articulation than I will ever be able to do. I mean, Ryan, our art director, was definitely the sort of center point, but like all things, we have a great art team, we have a great tech team. The tech enables the art, the design, and the goals of the game, influence the art. So it's really like it gets influence from all sides. A couple of things Ryan pushed on really early on, though, which I remember, were he wanted this notion of a painted art style. So everything in the world looks lived in, almost like it could be, a portrait painter could paint what's going on in the world. And that's everything through, the way the wood looks, the way the ships are slightly, everything looks worn, and he uses a term called wonky, like it's not a piece of wood, like the ship's just come out of a factory. It looks like it's been on a pirate ship for 10 years of sailing the seas. So everything's just got this almost lived in painted look to it. Go look at the rocks, it's almost it's like they've got kind of brush strokes as if they've been painted. And the goals really around that were, we wanted an art style that could not only scale across different, it's a game that supports crossplay, so it's on PC and console, but a game that would look good on low and mid-range PCs, as well as on the Xbox One X, as well as on a high-end PC. A game, we always had a multi-year vision for Sea of Thieves that it would live for years to come. And really, if you want a game to stand the test of time visually, then it's got to have a unique art style that in 2-3 years from now, people don't say, oh, that just looks old and different.
Great point.
Ryan,
I was just going to interject real quick, Greg. That's a really good point, because when you look back at games with a sort of a art style, you can look at maybe like the Zelda Wind Waker being one that still really holds up in a lot of games like that. So that was something that I hadn't really thought of before in terms of the art style, but that is brilliant.
And we definitely set out to do that. That was the intention. Now, of course, having an intention to do something and then turning it into reality is hundreds and thousands of hours of hard work and iteration. And the other thing, like things like how the art links in with the music and the sound effects, how the art shows the tone of the game. The fact that our skeletons will run away and go and eat a banana, or they'll the animation of the animals in the merchant quest, right through to even the Kraken. Like it all has to kind of seamlessly link and look cohesive together. And I mean, Ryan's pedigree is pretty strong. I mean, he was the concept lead on Viva Pinata and came up with a lot of that style. So
I love Viva Pinata.
Yeah, he's a 15-16 year veteran at Rare anyway. So we have a pretty talented team that I just feel privileged to work with every day.
That's incredibly awesome. Craig, was there ever a point, a lot of people ask me this question, and kind of I've asked it myself, was there ever a point where you guys considered putting in maybe a small campaign, Sea of Thieves, to kind of get people the idea of how to play the game a little bit? I think so many games nowadays that do like the multiplayer stuff, which I think it's great. But was there ever that point where you guys maybe were thinking of adding some sort of single player element?
Yeah, we don't really think about it like a single player element. I mean, when you play the launch version, we definitely have the notion of you, and I'll try not to spoil it because I want everyone to experience it fresh. We've not shown this in any of the betas or anything, but we have this notion of you starting the game. So you start in the tavern, and then that's all I'm going to say. Like, because we definitely want you to, kind of understand what Sea of Thieves is, understand where you are, and everything from kind of picking your pirate to where you start to your first couple of voyages is something we do want to just make sure you understand. But we were very conscious that we wanted everyone's story in Sea of Thieves to be different. So we never really wanted people to have this, and this is hard to explain, but easy once you've played it and you get into the game. We never wanted everyone in Sea of Thieves to go on exactly the same adventure in exactly the same order, which tends to be what campaigns give you as a structure. So for us, it was really about the magic of Sea of Thieves is because you never know what's going to happen in your adventures, and you have a lot of freedom in the way you undertake them. All of the goals we give you in Sea of Thieves are called guided goals. So the reason we have trading companies that want you to go on, adventures and voyages for them is that's the kind of light stimulation and motivations for you to go and do something. What you actually do and how you do it, and what you do when you see another ship on the horizon, or what you do when you see a skull cloud in the sky, or whether you get distracted. And unlike anything else I've ever worked on or played, Sea of Thieves is one of those games you can set out to go and do one thing. You'll spend 2 hours getting distracted on a ton of other things that you've never even, like, you might find a message in a bottle which will lead you on a quest to the other side of the island. Like, there's no game that does that in the way that Sea of Thieves does that. And you can have this 2-3 hour session where you actually didn't do the thing you set out to do at the start, but you had an amazing time over that 2-3 hours. And that again is down to the team and the uniqueness of our design.
That's awesome, because what's funny, Greg, is when I played a lot in the alpha and stuff like that and the beta, and sometimes we would just spend 3-4 hours and we were like, what did we just do? And we didn't even get one treasure, just because you're having fun with that game. And I've never had so much fun in a game. And I remember, and a lot of people will remember me talking about this. I said, this game is going to be huge. I can't talk about it because you're not allowed to back in, over a year ago. I said, but this game, I've never heard so many people have fun together in this sort of game, just laughing the entire time. I've never experienced that in a game before, and people thought I was crazy. And then when they started being able to experience it for themselves, they were able to realize what I was talking about. And now they're like, hey, he wasn't so crazy. This game is really something special.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about the beta too, Craig. There's so many people that take numbers and run with it, right? The media has become like the game of telephone. How much of the game have we actually seen percentage-wise in the beta?
It's an impossible question to answer, because the game in itself is so emergent and replayable.
Yes.
Like it kind of comes back to what I was saying, which is what's unique about Sea of Thieves is you never know what's going to happen in your adventures. So we had, and I might get this wrong, so I'm just going off memory. I think our tech alpha, we had a number of gold hoarders quests in there, but not all of them. The final beta, we had the Merchant Alliance, albeit we were still doing some balancing work. We had the Merchant Alliance and some of the gold hoarders. We've not the Order of Souls, which is our kind of bounty hunter, go search for ancient skeletons and bring their skulls back, is like we tested some of that in the tech alpha, but we'd never shown that before. I think we obviously kept the Kraken back for launch, as we showed in our launch trailer. That was something we wanted to hold back. But all of the advanced voyages for merchants, Order of Souls, gold hoarders, people haven't seen what happens when you become a legendary pirate. No one's engaged with the Kraken unless you happen to work at Rare and you've been fighting the Kraken for the last few weeks and months. And there's lots of hidden secrets and Easter eggs. It's almost impossible to kind of put a percentage on that. But whenever we've done a beta, it's always been to try and prove something, like how quickly will people go through the ranks in a trading company? How often do ships encounter each other? How many people will these servers take in when we scale up? How many times we had an issue in our final beta around the gold balance. when you cashed in chests not working. You know, what happens if 100,000 people try and cash in chests at the same time? Like what? Because that's all the stuff that we can't prove or figure out anyway, but playing the game at scale with, you know, thousands and thousands of players.
What was the latest figure, Craig, that you saw on Twitch? Just curious on the beta. What numbers were you, Twitch or Mixer? Did you see those numbers were staggering?
Yeah, I think the big moment was when we took the NDA off. I mean, I think Crap mentioned it, which was we always wanted to have the game in a very open, transparent way. We had our insiders; they were playing regularly. We were releasing regularly, and we always had. And I think it was the right thing to do, but we always had this sort of confusion where people were playing it, and it was a bit like Fight Club. It was like, can I talk about it? And it's like, well, yeah, but just don't share stuff. And like the reason you're in the club is because we want to scale it, and it's not done yet, and we didn't want people thinking what we were testing early was done. And I know we caused some confusion there, and that wasn't the intention. But the day we took the NDA off, I mean, literally within 4 hours in that afternoon, we were in the top 10 on Twitch and Mixer. Within 7 hours, we were like the #1 viewed game in the world in a closed beta that, you know, we know like not everyone had access. And I think we had something like 14 million viewing hours across streaming platforms, which again, for a game that's not released is insane. Like is an absolutely phenomenal thing.
That is absolutely amazing, Craig. And Mooch messages me. He's like, "Are you calling him Greg?" And I'm like, "No, it maybe sounds like Greg, but I'm saying Craig." So if there's any confusion there, Craig, have you guys paid attention to the other shared world games like Destiny or the Division to kind of learn what not to do? Because a lot of people like really enjoyed those games at first, and then they really kind of died down because of various reasons. Were you aware of that going into Sea of Thieves? And as you developed for Sea of Thieves, has that helped you or like maybe laid a roadmap for what you guys to do?
Not
or not.
We sort of look passively. I mean, one of the things that I feel very proud about Rare and what we do as a team is we try and sort of forge our own path and do the things that we think are right. And that doesn't mean we'll get everything right, but it means we never really look at something else and go, hey, they did that, we should go do it, or they did that, we shouldn't go do it. It always comes back to us, which is what's right for Sea of Thieves. How do we make sure we're doing the things that help us the best? And I mean, you're even seeing things in the comments like, hey, you know, you guys should just extend the beta or release the game early, or like whatever the sentiment is. Like, if we do scale tests, we do them for a reason. If we have time between launching something and then feeding back, and if we can't communicate something, it's probably because we haven't figured it out yet and we don't know. Or if we can communicate something, you know, we've even started to get into conversations now about, you know, what's the post-launch roadmap? And, you know, I know like we are fully committed to see if these post-launch, there'll be a big team working on it. And, but really, you know, it's like, we're going to launch on Tuesday. We're going to sit and watch, because every single person I've ever talked to that's released a scale game or a game like we have at any sort of scale has said, hey, until you launch, you don't know what problems you're going to have, because you're going to have more people playing than ever before. So really, for the first kind of month, 2 months, it's really going to be launch, let's watch, let's address anything we need to that comes up we weren't aware of. And then beyond that, we've definitely got some ideas and features and stuff, but I don't want to get us into this premature place of promising stuff when we don't really know how the next couple of months is going to play out.
Yeah. I think a big improvement that you guys made over some of those other games I mentioned was the fact that you're not trying to sell them content that divides the community later on down the something that a lot of people are very thankful for. So I think I speak for a lot of people when I say thanks for that.
Yeah, and when we made a decision very early on, which was, hey, we're not going to have power-based progression, and it was something when we made it, we knew it would be divisive. We knew a lot of games, you know, have gone in that direction over a number of years, and you know, which is do things, level up, get more stuff, do more things, and we just said that isn't really what Sea of Thieves is, and we want Sea of Thieves to be a game that doesn't put barriers between players. You should be able to play with your friends however many hours you've put into the game. And we knew, like, when in doing that wouldn't be for everyone. But we were very committed, and again, props to Joe and Greg, Mike, and the design team. We were like, no, this is right for Sea of Thieves, because this is going to let people play together more often in a way that suits them. And if players have access to things, they can take other players with them that don't have access to those things. And once we'd locked on that, we were all in, and that's what we're doing.
See, that's interesting, Craig. And I like the way you that last part ties into one of the questions I think a lot of people want to hear, and they're excited to hear your answer. And I don't want to this is not a rain on, I'm actually a huge Destiny fan as well. And we call it the Destiny effect. And the Destiny effect is that sometimes you'll play the game, you'll advance to a certain degree, and then friends are left behind. I think one of the principles that you've put forward, and Rare as a team has put forward, is that in this game, you could be playing 2 months. I could come in and still enjoy an adventure with friends and not be left out because of a skill level, or maybe because I wasn't there all the time. So is that something that is available for all players to feel welcome at all times? Or is there a level system where, I'll have to do a little bit of makeup work if I step away from the game for a week or so?
No, I mean, our goal is fundamentally, as you said, we want to remove barriers so you can play with your friends at any time.
Right.
And actually where, Greg, Mike, and the design team have gone one stage further is because Sea of Thieves is, this shared world game, and I'm trying not go into our sort of concept pitch in that way, but because everything you do, you have shared goals. So you vote on your voyage, you have a shared voyage you're going to go to. Like, whoever you're in a crew with can propose the voyage you're going on. And if that is, someone new that comes in and says, hey, I want to do the first couple of, free gold merchant voyages because I just want to understand how the merchants work. So we're going to go to an island, find a red speckled hen, take it back to a merchant, and that, or take it to a different merchant, and that's our kind of trading company voyage. Chances are you, as an experienced player, maybe you've played for 100 hours, 200 hours, will go, yep, this is my friend, that's what they want to do, that's a voyage they've proposed. Of course, I'm a super experienced pirate, it'll be easy for me, but I'll go do that with them. Equally, you can say, hey, do you want to come do this cool thing because I'm a legendary pirate and I have access to legendary voyages, and they can absolutely come on that same adventure if you propose that, and that's what you go and agree to go and do as a crew. Because where experience comes to bear in Sea of Thieves is actually your experience. It's not the stats in the game. It's the fact that you would know the islands and the worlds, and you're better with the blunderbuss or the eye of reach or the cutlass, or you're better at sailing, or you understand what regions of the world have what risks. We've tried to take away as many abstract things in the game. That's why you don't have a mini map that you're shown on. That's why, the ship's map is it. That's why, the voyages you vote on, and you get individual maps at the time that you've got to communicate and work through. Like, all of this is all to reinforce that it's actually about you and your playing experience, not your players' stats or power.
Yeah, you're bringing your experience, your past into someone else's game. So you're you. It's not the fact that, I'm behind so-and-so, so I can't continue this quest. It's not that case at all. And that's refreshing, I think.
We'll see. We'll see in a couple of days.
Well said, Craig.
Craig, Sea of Thieves seems like the perfect game to have a custom Xbox console or a collector's edition of the game. Was that something that was ever discussed? By the way, I have the Sea of Thieves controller and I love it. I would love a console. I would have bought another Xbox One X if it had that kind of design on it. And I know that you know the Xbox Pope, better known as Gordy Tommy, and he has designed some amazing mock Xbox designs. And I was just wondering, is that ever something that you guys had in terms of discussions, maybe to have a custom console or something along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, lead times for that kind of stuff. I mean, you'd be amazed how early those kind of conversations happen, and how much lead time involves in obviously making a custom piece of hardware. And obviously, if you do something like a controller stand, which we did to match the sort of translucent barnacle paint style we did in the controller. Like you can do that fairly quickly, but whereas an actual console itself is a much bigger deal. So we were always really conscious as a new IP that we wanted to make sure that there were, you know, kind of accessories and you know, super early meeting with a controller team. You know, we sat there with those guys, and they're an awesome bunch, and just said, look, if we're going to do a Sea of Thieves controller, like Sea of Thieves, as we've just discussed, is this very different game. It's unique in so many ways. If we're going to do a controller, like, I want to do the best Xbox controller. I want to do a controller that is just very, very different to anything we've done before, because Sea of Thieves is different to anything we've done before. You know, I think if we'd have just done a blue controller that said Sea of Thieves on it, that would have been a miss. So that was a project we went at, and you know, we did the hard drive once we'd locked on that style, and if you look at the Sea of Thieves merchandise store, we've done a ton of stuff around, you know, like t-shirts and tankards, and that was like, it was a very deliberate thing. Like, hey, let's not do a collector's edition. Let's just do some stuff, and then people can, if they want to buy the art book or the lore book or the comic, like. So we've tried to treat Sea of Thieves like an established IP, even though it's a new IP. And I guess with a custom console thing, it was never really a conversation, or certainly a conversation we did early enough that we could have actually turned around in any reasonable time. I mean, we've done a couple of custom skins that we've donated to charity and given away. I think there's one that Special Effect are auctioning off soon, and there's been a few more. So maybe that's a miss. Maybe we should have done it, but I think by the time we really thought about it, that again, I said I wouldn't use pirate puns. That ship had sailed, and it was probably too late to do something for launch. Sorry, it's been 4 years.
That has to happen. I would assume that happens a lot at the office, right? I mean, there's a lot of those puns we use in everyday business, and you guys have to all kind of smirk and laugh. Those are great.
And then we all look at each other and roll our eyes at each other when we do it. So it's but the lead times on those stuff is way longer than you think they were.
That's great. Well,
hey, Craig, if you're wondering what's going on, right? We have this thing called Super Chat.
Yes.
So people donate to the chat, and then it sets off this money thing.
Yes.
And so
nice.
the money comes down. It's very funny.
It is.
Actually, Craig, someone asked a question about VR. Have you ever experimented with VR for Sea of Thieves or anything like that?
That's a great question.
We hadn't, and if we did, I expect we'd have to give people a sick bucket to with the game in VR. I mean, the game, when you're in a storm, riding the waves, when the ship's moving around, it's intense. I love and hate the storms in our game in equal measure, because like when you see them roll in, like it's just, and particularly if you're on the small sloop, it throws your ship around. It's crazy, and the team has done such an amazing job. And it's brutal. You know, I don't know if any of you have experienced the storm, and definitely, like, even if you're playing, even if it's not as part of your, like, just go sail through a storm. Like, there is nothing like it in gaming, but I can't even remotely imagine playing that in VR. I think it would literally make you sick. And I mean, I guess we're on PC, so I suppose someone could probably do it and hook it up that way. But yeah, I'm not responsible if they throw up. That's not my responsibility.
How often, Craig, is DLC expected to come out, or is that something Rare's kind of holding to the chest still? I know you said the first one will drop roughly after 3 months. Is it going to be every 3 months, or it could be sooner, or it could be later?
Yeah, I mean, we're actually looking at that right now. So it kind of, and this, I'm trying not to make a cop-out answer. It kind of depends how big and how complex what we're making is.
I see.
Our thinking at this moment in time is obviously if it's tweaks and fixes and small changes that we can do. Maybe we spot something in the balancing after launch that we thought was fine, but we want to tweak. Like, I think you'll see those happen pretty regularly, pretty quickly. Obviously, we've got some really interesting ideas of where we can take Sea of Thieves, and some of the bigger kind of future things, which I just think will just need more lead time and just have a little bit more work involved. But we like this idea of doing stuff every sort of 3 months, every quarter, like just enough where there's kind of something new for people to get excited about. And we like I say, we were in to Sea of Thieves for the long game. I'd love us to be chatting a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and talking about all the awesome stuff we've added to Sea of Thieves. And it's funny because whenever we do something, you're probably getting the questions now in the chat is like, will it have this? Will it have this? Will it have this? And
they mostly ask, is it going to be paid DLC? Like, is it paid or anything like that? Which I believe I read somewhere that there's no paid DLC, right?
No, I mean, we don't want to put barriers up between players like that. That's been a tenet of the project from day one, and that remained so. So, obviously, having 100+ people working on a game for multiple years isn't free. So one of the things I need to think about is, like, how do we make sure that as Sea of Thieves as a business, we continue to generate revenue, and some of that is, obviously copies of the game and selling that. Some of that's accessories, some of that's Game Pass, some of that's all of the above. But as we've looked at, and the example I gave when we invited a lot of press into the studio at Rare, and they all asked because all the people on their comments thread asked. And one of the examples Joe and I used was, like, if you think something like pets, pets aren't integral to Sea of Thieves as a concept, but it's a kind of cool thing that would be awesome for your pirate to have. It's completely non-essential to the way you play the game. And it's that kind of stuff where we actually think monetization actually works and fits because it's not essential. We think people will think they're cool. But for us and where our design team will do an amazing job is, like, because people have done pets in games before, but what is a pet in Sea of Thieves? How do we make that cool? Can you, as the pirate, throw one of your crewmates' pets overboard, and does that add to the fun and silliness of it, or things like that? So, and what I like about that example is it's a very clear thing that, as you say, it's not going to divide players. It's not going to make put some players into one box and other players into another, but we actually think it'd be a cool thing that pirates will want pets, and it seems like an extra additional benefit that will obviously cost us money to go do and make, but seems like it would kind of pay for itself and work in that way. So
you mentioned it, Craig. I just it's funny because a lot of us gamers are all kind of just wrapping our minds around Game Pass. When Game Pass was presented to you as the head of Rare, and I'm sure you and Phil sat down, so this is the direction, Phil said, this is the direction we're going. And you said yourself, you have well over 100 people in studio. How was it received? I mean, because this is the first time in the console space, maybe for PC gamers, it's something else. But for us, this is new, and it had to have been new for you to go, digital day one on a subscription base. How was that received, and what was your opinion on it when it was first presented?
Yeah, I mean, I love Game Pass, like, absolutely. I mean, forget the Rare Sea of These things for a second. But just as a consumer,
yes,
and as I sort of see Game Pass comments, and they're like 95% positive because it's awesome and it's a great consumer value. But even the 5% are just like, hey, like, this is like, this seems too good to be true, and it kind of is. Like, I think, again, I got quoted in the press the other day, is like, if someone had told a teenager that I was, who used to pay save up 65 pounds to buy a SNES cartridge, back when I was 16 and had a paper round and used to save up all my, like, if someone had told me, hey, no, you can just pay £10 a month and have, I'm using pounds, I know you guys are stateside, but $10 a month and have access to 100 games. Oh, and by the way, we're going to put brand new games in there as well. Like, as a consumer, that's incredible value.
It is.
So for me, as the kind of, I guess, custodian, guardian of Sea of Thieves, what I want is, I want Sea of Thieves to be successful and prosper and have many, many people play Sea of Thieves, and I believe Game Pass helps us achieve that goal. Like, so.
Do you guys prefer, like, does it matter to you, like, as long as people are playing it, whether they buy it outright, right? Does that help more right away, or does the Game Pass, somebody that just plays that, does that help more, or does, as long as it's more people, which way actually helps the game support it more, in your opinion?
As long as they're playing Sea of Thieves, I actually don't mind. I mean, and this is where the beauty of, you know, a studio like Rare, we're a first party Microsoft studio. You know, fundamentally our job, our existence is to create incredible experiences that bring people to Microsoft's platforms and services. And whether that's make people play on Xbox Live, whether that's people buy a console, whether they play on Xbox Live on Win 10, whether that's they subscribe to Game Pass, you know, all of that is success for us. And, you know, for Sea of Thieves as a service-based game that we want people playing for a long period of time, I love the idea of someone getting a console, you know, being new to Xbox at Christmas and getting Game Pass as part of that, and playing Sea of Thieves for the first time. Because even if that, you know, Sea of Thieves will be out for, what are we, March, so 9 months by then, like, to them, coming into our kind of ecosystem and community as a new player and being able to play Sea of Thieves for the first time, I think that's awesome. And I believe, and we'll see how it plays out, but I believe we'll have people playing Sea of Thieves that maybe would never have played Sea of Thieves due to Game Pass, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's awesome as well. Do you yeah, a lot of people look at sort of games as a service as a bad thing. If you were to explain it to people in kind of layman's terms, like, I personally think it's a good thing. Like GTA Online, a lot of people don't realize that some of their favorite games are actually games as a service, and that it's not this terrible thing that people make it out to be in, like, the press and things like that. How would you explain that to somebody just that wants to know, you know, like, they're interested in Sea of Thieves, but see it's a games as a service, and then they're like, oh, well, now I won't play or whatever. How would you explain how it actually helps and invigorates the game and keeps it around for a longer period of time?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's probably one I won't do justice in my explanation. I think games get a bad rap when maybe one or two or some games or products kind of leave a bad taste in people's mouths. And of course, like, I guess what I'd always say to people is, like, treat every game company, every studio differently. Because games as a service is this kind of massive umbrella that every single game that ever updates gets put under, and it's actually not. You know, mobile games work in a very different way to franchises, work in a different way to new IP. Like, there's many flavors of a service-based game. I think for us is we look at day one, or we look at launch as being day one for Sea of Thieves, and there's some really lovely tangible examples that I can talk about, which is, you know, we've always talked about in Sea of Thieves as the lore of the game evolving based on the players that play it. So this notion, we've done a little bit of this in our tech alpha, but I think we've just scratched the surface. You know, this notion that we can rename a part of the world, or, you know, name a tavern after a famous pirate, or, you know, recognize the deeds that have happened in Sea of Thieves, you know, in the game itself. Like, you can only do that in a service-based game. Like, just the fact that we're even excited about those kind of ideas is really all enabled because we can continue to update the game and evolve it, you know, and it's things like that where, and again, I've been making games a long time, you know, what you tend to do making a game before we were in this connected world where we could update and could evolve games is, you know, the game designers would have their vision, they'd go build it, we'd fix all the bugs, we'd ship it, and then we'd just all sit back and hope it's successful, and then we'd go put a team on something else and make something else, be it a sequel, be it a different game. You know, this, like, I can honestly say this, like, you know, I have, like, my whole Sea of Thieves team is absolutely, like, champing at the bit to go have day one, you know, get everyone to be super happy and excited about the game, and then we're already ideating on ideas and things that we can add to Sea of Thieves to make the experience even more awesome for players. Like, and that's what games as a service for me. And again, whether it's the right label or evolving games, or like that to me is what the magic of having a team that have something that they're passionate about, that players are playing, that they can keep adding to and evolving. That's the benefit of it.
And I appreciate that, Craig. I have just a follow-up question to games as a service. So when people think that, they do think, again, it's the term that everyone uses in gaming this generation, the Destiny effect. So when you're playing Sea of Thieves and you kind of go in, what is it that you guys are going to have that when we log on every day, there'll be I'm making this up, by the way, this doesn't exist, but the daily quests, or if there's a weekly quest, are there anything to that nature that, I mean, we know about the treasure chests and the maps. We know, is there anything that we don't know? Because when people think of this game, that's just this living, it's a living organism, really. It's really just a living thing that we enter this world that you've created. Is there anything out there that's a daily, weekly, monthly type of thing that we have to aspire to? And again, it doesn't separate us from other gamers. It benefits only us and our story that we're going through our individually. Is there things like that that are coming down the line in this type of game?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't locked on frequency of. I mean, what you're talking about, and some games call them like engagement-based mechanics,
yes.
Which is, hey, if you log in at this time every so whatever the frequency is.
Correct.
And we haven't locked on that, partly because we think for day one and our launch experience, we don't need it coming out of the gate. Like there's a ton of things for people to go do in Sea of Thieves. We have got our campaign team, so we've got a set of people in the studio on Sea of Thieves that we call our campaign team, that are looking at those not so much daily, weekly, but campaigns that we can run over a period of time that have specific goals and rewards and player motivations in them. So a good example I use is we did one at, I think it was Gamescom 2017, so just gone, where we hid these special marked skulls in the world, and we actually did this campaign with our community where if people found them, they could actually mark them on the map and triangulate an area in the sea where we'd hidden a shipwreck like super deep, and there was some exclusive treasure in that shipwreck. And we love the idea of either stuff like that, or this notion of like classic pirate trope, but a mysterious stranger coming into the tavern. So when you go and play Sea of Thieves, you'll go into a part of the world you've maybe been in 100 times, and you'll go, oh, there's this mysterious pirate there, and if he's got a special quest or voyage or something to go to, like, I think that's the kind of ideas that we get really excited about. So it's how do we, to your point, make Sea of Thieves feel you come in and a player that's maybe played it for 6 months, like there's something new and fresh to get you in and excited.
No, that's great, and I appreciate that. That's something, like I said, that's the thing that's so myself personally that I've been waiting for so long. And actually, I got to give credit to where credit's due. Crap Gamer, Crap has been a huge fan of Sea of Thieves way back. Everyone's talking about it now, Craig, but he was promoting it and really pushing it strong back in the alpha days, and he couldn't even talk about it. So it was just him in my ear being like, this is going to be something huge. This is going to be something that we can always get together, join in, play, stream. And I Tuesday just can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, I was having so much fun, and people would ask me. Never have I got so many messages on Xbox Live as when I was playing Sea of Thieves in the alpha, and everybody's like, "How can I get in? How can I do this? How can I do that?" And I'm like, "Well, you can sign up, and maybe they'll invite you." So it was. I could tell that it was at that point that so many people were interested in this type of game. That it's going to be kind of a phenomenon. But I wanted to ask you, Craig, has there been any pressure coming off of like the 3 straight Connect titles, switching back to a more traditional controller-based title? Because a lot of people, assume one thing or other about Rare these days without really knowing the history. But do you guys feel any more pressure doing that? Is it more of a relief, or what made you guys kind of decide to get off the Connect train? Obviously, they debundled it and stuff, but was that something that you guys decided to do right away, or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you're right. There's a weird internet narrative of Rare being chained to a Connect, doing things that it doesn't like to do. And again, what I tell you is, if you know me and you know my team, we're pretty passionate about doing the things that we care about, and we get excited. And Connect Sports, and people loved it or hated it, whatever. That was a 10 million unit selling franchise that was hugely successful, albeit to a different audience than maybe the historic traditional Rare fans or even the future Rare fans we've engaged with Sea of Thieves. So I think that was Rare's franchise to own and manage when I kind of came in and took over the studio. We obviously shipped Rare Replay in 2015 as well, which was super successful and a real great opportunity to look back at 30 years of Rare and the games they've done and really, I guess, celebrate our heritage, which I didn't think Rare had done kind of prior to us doing Rare Replay. And then it was really, like, if you look at the wider kind of arc of Rare over 30 years, like Rare's always done new, crazy, innovative stuff. Connect was that for a while, going right back to rendering technology on Donkey Kong Country when everyone else was doing sprites, right through to everything I said to you guys earlier, which is like, hey, for Sea of Thieves, we wanted to kind of change the rule book and make this multiplayer game that was welcoming and inclusive and didn't put barriers up. And for a lot of people, they'll go, hey, that's crazy because that's not what other multiplayer games do. But I think that's what you get out of Rare when we go and decide we're going to build something different. And for me as a studio, and all the creativity comes from the team and the stuff they're passionate about. But as a studio head, my job's to kind of create an environment to go bet on an idea that could be something that is awesome and incredible and different. And when we, like I said before, when we got excited about this notion of players creating stories together and realized that we could do it in a way that no one's done before, like that then motivates you to go build something different. And whether it's, like, say, Connect or Controller, like different audiences, different things, different inputs. Even building Sea of Thieves for PC was hugely excited. Like we'd never built a PC game before in the studio at Rare. So just even like, how do we build a PC game? How do we build a game that's relevant to a PC audience? Can we make crossplay work and seamless and not have boundaries so people can play regardless of device? Like, all of that stuff are just awesome challenges as well as a creative challenge.
An interesting question that came in from the chat, Craig, and we were talking about this on my show on Friday. The folks that are, including myself, that have Game Pass, will we be able to play 12:01 a.m. Tuesday? Of course, I'm talking New York Standard Time here, Eastern Standard Time. Is that something that's possible, or the fact that we'll be, I guess what they're asking is, can they pre-download the game? So if they're a Game Pass member, or will they have to start downloading the game at 12:01 if they have Game Pass?
Yeah, let me just repeat the question because you actually broke up a little bit there.
Oh, I apologize.
I don't want to answer it wrong and set.
I can repeat it. You want me to? I can repeat it for you if you want, Craig.
Yeah, go for it.
Are you able to pre-download the game on Game Pass before it releases?
Right.
So I believe, and what I'd say here is we're the first people to do it. So this is all new. So just give me that caveat.
Exactly. Take it with a grain of salt. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I believe you can't pre-download on Game Pass because of the way Game Pass works. So something's either in it or it's not, and because essentially everything else we've put into Game Pass, we've kind of said, hey, this game is now in Game Pass. So it's a very kind of binary, it's in or it's not. Whereas obviously Sea of Thieves is a game that's about to launch. If you've pre-ordered the game in a traditional way, then obviously the Xbox store knows that you own Sea of Thieves, even though it's not out yet.
Right.
So we can kind of say, and I actually pre-ordered Sea of Thieves. I pre-ordered my own game, which sounds insane because I can get it free. But,
you didn't get a free code?
I wanted to make sure it all worked and all the unlock and download and stuff worked. So just for this very reason. So obviously, my Xbox knows that I own Sea of Thieves because the pre-order's gone through, so I can download it. And there's not really the equivalent of that with Game Pass. I know Mike Ybarra and the platform team are aware of this, and they're like, now we're in a day and date world with first party and Sea of Thieves. I know this is something they're looking at. But I don't think it's as simple as it is with a pre-order where we know you own the game, therefore you can pre-download it. I think Game Pass works a little bit differently.
Well, finding out that Craig had to buy his own game, I just scratched off. Try to mooch a copy off of Craig. Don't just scratch that off.
I actually I have it. I bought it too and made sure that I pre-downloaded it. I don't have the best internet, so I wanted to make sure that I can jump right in and kind of play it. Like I've had some. I've already put between the alpha and the beta is probably close to $100 in. So I'm very excited to kind of jump in officially and get some achievements for a change.
Yes,
which I like that achievement list that I saw as well.
I was just going to say,
Craig,
did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Like I'm like, man, I'm going to be able to get a lot of these achievements. I like that you're like some of them are spaced out, so you'll get some later on, but some of them are early on. So you'll just jump right in and kind of do something and get them. And I really like that about it as well. This is kind of an interesting question that I have for you, Craig, which is, was making reviewers hold off on reviewing the Sea of Thieves game itself until after it launches? Like, was that a strategic move on your part? Because a lot of times when developers do this, people go, "Uh-oh, that's a warning sign. That the game's bad."
Developers.
Thanks, Jay.
Jay throws the developers in there.
Yeah. but just from that point of view, do you think that's something that you guys did, or were you aware that a lot of times developers will do this if they're worried how their game will review? Like, what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we have had so many conversations about this, with Joe Simon Prodger, who's my kind of audience and brand guy, and the team. And I think for us, like, and again, this is where Sea of Thieves is very different. Like, it's not like in my head, and maybe this is my head and not the rest of the world, but like people have been playing our game for a year anyway, and I don't. So I'm not like I haven't got the worry about like, what will people think of Sea of Thieves? What will people say when they play it? Because we've had continual coverage and play, and like we've shown up at every event, like we've ran betas, which I know people in the press have been in. Like I've read feedback, thoughts. I mean, as we talked about earlier, like there was 14 million hours of streaming on Sea of Thieves. So if people don't know what it is by now, yes, playing it is very different. So I'm not kind of worried about that. Naturally, all of the press and media and people we've talked to have said, hey, if we can get codes as early as we can and get reviews up as early as we can, that's good for us, that's good for you. And I kind of agree with that. I think that is good. I think when people are talking about the game the most on day one, if there can be reviews up there that help people make decisions and be informed, I think that's good. Part of the challenge we have is as a service-based game, I think as I mentioned earlier, we locked our day one update on Thursday, just gone. I think it was like Wednesday we finalized it. It went into cert. It got approved through cert on Thursday. And then literally, and I'm not trying to make anyone jealous here, but we opened up the game to the Rare team over this weekend just so we could do some very, very final, like, let's make sure servers are up, let's make sure everything works. So, I was playing last night. The team have been playing over this weekend. And again, that's just a kind of final, okay, let's just make sure everything's, like, there's nothing crazy that we're not expecting. And then the other conversation we've had continuously is, we've had, so many streamers and YouTube creators and wanting to play the game early. We've obviously, been very well supported by press and we've got some really big Sea of Thieves fans in various media outlets, which have been super supportive to us and like believers from day one in very early, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then we've had our community and our insiders and the Rare fans, and we've always been very, very careful not to give people entitlement over other people. And props to Joni, our exec producer, that always keeps me super honest whenever we have these conversations. Because naturally, I'll go, okay, what are we trying to get done? How do we make sure that media get what they want and our fans get what they want and influencers? And And Joe will always hold this point of view, which is like, look, all of our community and everyone's been with us all along this journey. So we don't want to get into this weird place where, even media have like a week ahead of everyone else, or, people are playing the game, even if it's someone that's a hugely influential, streamer that has, millions of followers. Like, we don't want to create this world where they're playing and streaming and other people are going, well, like, I haven't got access, and I played in the first technical alpha back in December of 2016, and so we've always tried to just really maintain this sort of sense of fairness, and like, hey, so it after many kind of hours of discussion, it was like, no, we're going to go live on day one.
Yes.
And that's what it's going to be, and that's when people can stream it, and that's when people can review it, and that's when our insiders will play, and we talked about even alternate scenarios as like, okay, do we create like, we've got our pioneers and our insiders, do we create a kind of separate build where journalists can come in and play in almost like a predetermined environment with our insiders and pioneers maybe a week before, so they can do their reviews? And then we were like, but that's not, like, it'll be weird because then we'll have to wipe everyone's progress, and it won't be genuine because they won't be playing in the real world with real servers. They'll be playing with our community. And so everything, all the ideas we had, we kind of talked ourselves out of, and we just said, no, day one, that's when everyone starts.
See, I think strategically that was the way to go, and I understand. But there's enough raw data out there now to see that when you have a game the way Sea of Thieves is going to grow and evolve, that having it so that everybody can start and start critiquing the game when it launches on Monday, I think the smart thing to do. Me and Crap are talking about it behind the scenes, and where we've seen other games, not Sea of Thieves, other games come out that have this open life, and they let people have the reviewers get 2-3 days in advance. The first thing they say is, well, there's this vast open world. We didn't see anybody. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. And all of a sudden, it's not ringing true for the game. So there's enough data out there when you're looking at it. You say, you know what? Yes, there's pros and cons to both situations. But I truly think you chose wisely in going with the path you did. It just gives everybody the same fair playing grounds as far as reviewers go. I thought that was very smart on your part.
Yes, I agree.
Real quickly, chat's also asking here about the Kraken. They say the Kraken, we know that this is this mysterious being out there that will stumble
Unleash
upon.
it.
Unleash that Kraken. But folks, a lot of gamers are also wondering, are there other big nemesis that we don't know of? You don't have to even say what they are, Craig, but are there other things out there that'll be coming in terms of just like the Kraken, where we don't know and there'll be unexpected events?
See, this is where when you do something as cool as the Kraken, this is what I love about gamers, including myself, is you show something as cool as the Kraken that's never been done before in any other game, and everyone goes, yeah, that's cool. Is there any more things like that?
Right.
And the other, just while I'm on the Kraken, the other thing that always makes me smile is everyone going in the comments, oh, I can't wait to hunt the Kraken. I think what people don't realize is the Kraken hunts you, not the other way around.
Nice.
So I look forward to that being fun, having experienced it in our game, and knowing how terrifying and how vulnerable you feel as a crew of pirates against a big tentacled Kraken. I mean, it's a future type of question. I think for launch, the Kraken was something we definitely wanted to make sure was awesome, and I think the team's done a great job with that. And we think people will have enough things to be preoccupied with merchants, Order of Souls, Gold Hoarders, and their quest to become a pirate legend. Who knows where we'll take it in the future, though. The fantastical element is a big part of Sea of Thieves. The ghost ship, the mermaids, there's some other fantastical things, but I think that's something we can definitely play into more as part of Sea of Thieves.
Nice.
That's very interesting. I do. This isn't a Sea of Thieves questions, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing a decent job if I didn't ask this question, because a lot of people in the chat are like, hey, talk about this or talk about that. So platformers have come back in a big way lately. Do you ever see a chance that we could see old friends like Banjo or Conquer sometime in the future? Like,
you can't
give
ask
us
me
some
an
kind of
e-
hope,
You
Craig.
can't ask me an ever question. Like ever's such a long time. Like
People love those two characters, and platformers are big again. Like, do you think that there's a chance?
Whenever I talk about rare IP on a podcast, it always turns into a headline. So I've got to be like super careful, particularly as we're talking about Sea of Thieves.
I'll probably
right now.
make it a headline myself. Craig Duncan says Banjo's coming.
That's it. Or like if I say yes, it's a headline. If I say no, it's a headline. Like Rare Studio Head, blah blah blah. Like so, I've been asked this a few times, and I guess I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I couldn't answer it. Like I think when you make something because you have people that have a passion for what it is. You have an idea that can make it great and make it amazing, and it's got to be that culmination of like, we've got this amazing idea, we've got a team of people that are passionate about it, and we want to go and do something incredible. Like as I've said before, and this is a statement that always gets me in trouble, but you guys are smart and you won't get me in trouble, I'm sure. Like if I went and told the team to go and do something and reboot something, like you would not get something great at the end of it. Like, of course they would go do it because I'm their boss and that's the way the world works sometimes. But like that, like Sea of Thieves is amazing because the team, the passion, the ideas, like everything we've done to create Sea of Thieves has come from that raw passion of the team to go do something. And I don't think it matters whether it's an existing IP, and Rare has a great catalogue of IP that we are totally responsible for, and we're the guardians of, or you're doing something new, or it's a franchise that's well thought of that's doing sequels. You know, every time I think you've still got to have the team, the passion, the idea. So I think you've got to have that, and then who knows? Like, you know, I think the team that did KI with us, and Ken Lobb and the publishing team and the studios that helped support that, I think did an amazing job. And they came and pitched to us, and the reason, you know, Battletoad ended up in KI was because of that passion. So, like, never say never, but it's not as simple as me. And I would never do this. Is going, hey, platform games are in vogue. Let's go reboot some platform IP, because I don't think that gets you great.
Craig,
that's actually a smart answer,
it
Craig. And I know like some people might not like it, but it actually goes into this other kind of question that I had, and I know it's kind of your turn, Mooch, but
that's all right.
Which was that you guys seem to have so much fun making Sea of Thieves that it's almost like something that rubs off on everybody, right? Like when I see you at E3, or like the developers talking about it on their streams or whatever, everybody's laughing and having a good time. Is that what you're talking about? It's like more of a passion thing, and then like you could be like, hey, go reboot Conquer, and they're like, sure, but it's not going to be as good because that's not really what they're passionate about at that time, right?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head, which is, you know, making games is hard. And I'm not saying that because I want any sympathy, because I love my job and I love my team, and it's amazing what we get to do for a living. But you've got to, like, if you can harness that passion, if you can have, you know, a talented group of people working on something they care deeply about, and literally like they're waking up every day going, how can I make Sea of Thieves even more awesome? How can I make the thing I'm working on incredible? How do I solve that problem we've been banging our heads against for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know, and still have the passion, the energy every day. And I think the games and projects people make reflect that. And I think part of the reason Sea of Thieves is what it is down to the team and the fun they've had making it and the passion they've had. It's why this last week, you know, we've all been in the studio at, you know, midnight playing the game and laughing, and you do get this just collective, you know, passion for what you're doing. And it's kind of funny, you know, I hear people go, oh, you know, the community team are awesome, and it's great to see Joe and Mike in interviews, and they're so passionate about what they're talking about, like almost like we're having to dial it in. And the reason they're passionate about it is because they are, in every single, you know, fiber in their body, because it's their game and it's something that they believe in and love and have spent all this time in. And that, like, I think if you can create that shows through. And I think it does. I think it makes the game better.
It totally shines through, Craig, and I'll tell you why. First of all, let me just say bravo, because there's a lot of things that the Xbox team told us in 2013 that we would get on the Xbox One and the user interface. And one of the things I hadn't seen so much until really your game is, and this is where that enthusiasm is shining through, and we can see that there's people that put a lot of tender love and care into this game, and that's the achievement art. I just want to say that the achievement art has come out recently in a few articles, and I want to say thank you because, you know, listen, let me tell you something. There's a lot of talents I have, Craig. One of them's not photography, okay? So everybody in the world's taking screenshots, and when you get mine on there, unfortunately, I'll apologize in advance. They're always blurry from the side, the wrong angle, a name is wrong. And what I love, what I absolutely adore is the achievement art that you've put into this game. And now when you obtain it, I can actually take that and put it as my background on Xbox. It is a huge relief, and thank you. Well, what a great show we have here, folks. Thank you. No, the great J-Dubs.
He does ask a question, though. That's a $20 question, Mooch.
Oh, well, yes, absolutely. Harpoon gun capabilities. And when? How about that, Craig? I guess they're asking about the, are there going to be any new weapons for hunting?
It's back to the more thing. Yeah,
don't you love us gamers, Craig?
I do. I think so. I am a gamer, and I get it. So it's not. I'm definitely not. Please don't take that as mocking. I think it's
not at all.
It's a cool thing, but this is where again, Sea of Thieves as a concept, it's easy to, whether it's Jess Corden on Windows Central who came into the studio and he's like, and we're taking him through all the game and we're talking about everything, and he sits down and he goes, so what about fishing? And I'm going, yeah, you could do fishing, like that could be a thing. And he's like, no, you guys have to add fishing, that's the most important thing. And about 2 days later he sends me through a PowerPoint of fishing, and all the mechanics, and it's got some art and all.
That's great.
That's Jez. And I use that as an example, whether it's harpoons or whatever. I've seen people talk about whales and all this sort of stuff. It's we can go and do anything. Whether what we should do and what we should do first and in which order. That's where I'll sort of defer to the team, and we'll continue to look at feedback and sentiment and on all these things. But it's really about what's the right things to go and do next, and if we go do something like that, what else could we have done that we felt was more impactful? So not launch is locked and loaded. Definitely nothing's going to change between now and Tuesday,
right?
But as we keep going, we'll keep looking at suggestions.
How does that work? Craig, I like what you just said there. You said we're locked and loaded, ready to go for Tuesday. Because listen, being a gamer, 100%. But you know what else I love? I'm fascinated by the industry. How is it that you, in your team, say? Do you guys pick up the phone, call Phil, and say this is when we're going to be ready to launch, or is it he calls and says, we're trying to hit this target? Can you hit that target? How is it that you guys know when it's time to go gold? Because this is a living creature you've created. This is a living world. So there's no way that you can ever say, you've said it yourself, it's not that we're ever really truly done. We're evolving, we're making things right now. You said we just got the first day patch done. So how is it that, and you can speak specifically to Sea of Thieves or in general, however you feel comfortable, but is it you that sets the target date as the studio, or is it more as Xbox, executives come and say, Phil's like, we would like to see Sea of Thieves come out between here and here. Is that something that's feasible for you and your team, and then you collaborate and work together?
Yeah, I can only kind of talk to Sea of Thieves because I think me talking to anything else would just be
unfair. Yes,
be my opinion rather than any fact. And I think when you start making a game, and particularly something that is as new as Sea of Thieves, we hadn't built a game that worked in the way Sea of Thieves worked. Everything from the water to the islands to ships to the procedural elements in the sort of treasure placement or message in a bottle. There was so many new things in Sea of Thieves that it's really, really hard to predict how long things are going to take. The first thing my engineers will tell you is, we'll sit in a room and say, hey, we want to do this. And, once they stop looking terrified from a point of view of like, what? No one's ever done that before. And then they go break it down and figure it out. Like it's really hard to work out how long that's going to take. So arguably, and again, like when we started Sea of Thieves, we didn't really know how long it was going to take to make Sea of Thieves. Obviously, as you then go through the game and go through the project, you get a more of a sense of what the game is and what it needs to have, and how much game there needs to be, and what does that day one feature set look like. And for Sea of Thieves, it was even more complicated because we did the tech alphas, we did the betas, we kind of went into day one. We've got our post launch plan. So for us, it was really about trying to pick when was the right time to launch to what you'd say is like an unconstrained audience where anyone could go buy the game. Because we've been launching and shipping Sea of Thieves for a year, albeit to a free audience of our insiders that are signed up. And so I think when we announced it at the Game Awards, I'm just trying to think back, which was December time. So I think we had a good sense of launch day around probably October, November time. So the way that kind of process works is we, obviously Phil and the Xbox leadership team are incredible. Matt and Shannon and Bonnie and Alan and Rod and like Mike and that whole team are, absolutely good. Like, and they are, again, they have the same goals as we do. They want a great platform. They want a great portfolio. They want great games. So there's never any conflict of wants and goals. So we do regular kind of business reviews. I think I flew over to Redmond. It was kind of October time, just before the 1X launch, and said, look, here's where we are with Sea of Thieves. Here's the tech alphas. Here's what's went well. Here's the remaining work I think we've got to do. I think we're going to be kind of March time. Like that's where it looks like we are. Obviously, let's loop back before we go announce something. Our thinking is we'll go announce something at the Game Awards, which I think was December. I might have got that date wrong. November, December, something like that. We think that's the right amount of time to build momentum up for launch, and it'll give us a couple more months to just make sure we're actually tracking and nothing's gone wrong that means we're going to take longer and all that stuff. So I think with game dev, I think it's, and whenever, and this is where I will talk generally, whenever people say a date and then that date moves, I don't think anyone ever does that in a malicious way to dupe people. Like, probably when they set that date is probably when they thought they could get it done. But building games is hard, and when you're doing new stuff, it's even harder. And sometimes stuff takes longer than you think, and it's not just a case of, hey, the team can work harder and work more hours and catch up. It never really works that way. But when I kind of pitched to Phil in the team, like, here's where I think Sea of Thieves is going to land. Here's what we need to do. I've never had anything but completely unconditional support of, like, if that's the plan, if that's what you want to do, go do it. We'll support you, and let's go land a plan. So which is great.
It really sounds, and one thing I took from that, Craig, is that the Xbox team seems like, you said there's zero conflict. That's interesting to hear. That's something you don't hear a lot, especially in a corporate presence. That's really great. So it sounds like leadership at Xbox across the board is they communicate well. Sounds like you're all on the same page, and if more time is needed, they're just out there to try and give you the time and support you need to make the best product. That's what I'm picking up, and I can hear it in your voice that there's a bit of comfort there.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason you do what you do, and I'm 2 glasses of red wine in here, so this is completely honest. Like, I love working with the people I work with, and that is not only the Rare team but the Xbox team as well. Right. And I think you want to work with people that have a similar philosophy, have shared goals, and ultimately you feel like you're doing things together to go and achieve things. And again, like, Phil's built an incredible team. Matt Booty, who runs studios, is an incredible guy, and yeah, it's a pleasure going over to Redmond and working with those guys. Like,
no, I don't blame you saying it was the wine, but you can tell in your voice it's very very endearing. It's just something we hear from a lot of people in press. You know, you hear it in press, you hear it and you read it in text, but to actually hear you say it on the air here came through very very truthful. So no, I appreciate that, and that's something we all kind of feel too. We feel that, like I said, I've read a few books now behind the scenes, and it's got nothing. This is nothing to do with Rare. But in general, it was different back in the day. And you've been making video games for 15 years, you said. And I think you would agree with me that, let's just say the past 5 to 7 years has been well, I'm going by the books. The books that I'm reading, it shows that 10 years ago, it was a different world. You'd have executives showing up with different kinds of demands and such to different studios. And nowadays, you don't have that. You have this. It seems like there's just a little bit more harmony between the executive branch and the gaming world. I think that's because a lot of the executives now are former gamers and former game developers, and I think that helps the industry grow.
I think you're right, and I think the industry is still young. Like it's we're only a 30-year-old industry, whereas films and music and comic books are 100-year-old industries. So I think you're right. I think we're definitely in that. We know more. The industry is moving. It's moving at a fast pace.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got some great people. I mean, Phil, as a leader in our business, is one of the top people at what he does, and we've hired some really great people around him. So it's great.
Hey, Craig, real quick. What's it like working with the Xbox One X? Does that like change the game for you guys? I know you guys have developed to Sea of Thieves to run on quote unquote a potato, but working with the Xbox One X, like that. Oh, hold on. We do got a call in, Greg. Now here's the interesting thing with their call-ins. They're gonna ask a question and then they have to get off the line because of the delay. So I guess that's how this is gonna work. He'll probably ask you a question and then you can answer. So M&C Mornings, what's up?
Yes.
Hey, this is Sir X Man. I just had a question. When you're not developing and in your free spare time, what other games do you like to play in your free time? That's all. Thank you very much.
Great question, Sir X Man.
Yes.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves, but that's not the answer people want to hear.
They want to hear that you've been playing something on PlayStation 4 or something along those lines, because that would make a headline, right? Craig Duncan prefers PS4.
It's something I feel very accountable for. I mean, obviously, when I travel and do press, I take my Switch. So I was recently playing Mario Rabbids, which was kind of cool, and FIFA when I was sitting on the plane. Which definitely made me go, hey, I'm sitting on an aeroplane playing FIFA 18 on a handheld console, which is
it has changed the landscape.
So you're confirming Sea of Thieves for the Nintendo Switch, Craig? Is
that what that is? Can we?
I think given Sea of Thieves is an online game, it probably doesn't fit in with my flight mode Switch scenario. But so I enjoy that when I travel. Actually, a game that I missed completely that I was literally playing a couple of days ago was Super Hot, which is just on Games with Gold, and I literally, I don't know how, I probably just busy work wise, I missed it completely the first time round, and downloaded it on Games with Gold, as I tend to do, as I'm sure all of you do as well, and played, and what an awesome game. Like what an incredible concept. And I heard I did a bit of reading, there's like a VR version as well, which I'm sure is kind of cool.
I played the VR version and it's really fun. It's amazing. I'm a big VR guy.
VR is the future, people. It's the future.
There he is.
Don't even go
He's
there.
a huge,
it's the future.
Huge proponent of VR.
Great.
Myself, I'm slowly coming around to the concept.
Yes, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I missed that completely. So I played that through, and then I told my son about it, who's 14, and then he started playing it over this weekend, and then he came and told me an hour ago that he's finished it. So I started it, and he's now played past me, and has finished it, and it made him stop playing Fortnite. So it's obviously pretty good. And I like escaping into Skyrim. I do love Skyrim. I think Skyrim, even though it's a single player game, has that kind of free form element that I think I love in Sea of Thieves, which is, hey, I'm just going to go and do some stuff and just go out and adventure and just have my own little story, and I can spend a couple of hours doing whatever, and it really doesn't matter because it's just fun to go and do.
That's a great point, Craig, which was, I remember Skyrim was one of the first games that I ever played where when I was working, I was thinking about what I could be doing in Skyrim. Like, oh, I could do this armor or whatever. And now Sea of Thieves is kind of like that. I'm like, I wonder what my crew can do in Sea of Thieves. It's like that same kind of living world experience where you're excited to get back into the world. And I think that's amazing. I kind of wanted to get back to my other question before we had the call, which was, what's the Xbox One X like to work with? And do you ever think we'll see a 60 frames per second option on that console in the future, maybe down the line? Because that's all the rage these days is giving, like a performance mode versus a resolution mode. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I've seen that question come up a few times in Twitter, and I mean, Twitter's a terrible place to answer any question because 280 characters is not the kind of nuance. So I'm hoping this is better. I'm a great believer in, like, let the team drive the performance and graphic versus performance versus options mode to best suit what the game experience is, and I think particularly for Sea of Thieves, there's a lot of complex stuff going on. It's an open world game. We have things like our water simulation, how that ultimately works over a synchronized network, and making sure that everyone is, like, how our servers talk to our clients and everything is all in sync. And back very, very early on when we talked about it, and we had the Scorpio dev kits and the early, before it was the Xbox One X name, and our team were very much like, hey, we can do 4K, but we should do 4K 30, because if we don't, like, we'll end up kind of compromising on graphics and all that kind of stuff, and it's not like anything is possible, but it's time and engineering and effort and all those things. So I think for us, we've had a ton of great work on the Xbox One X. I was playing it literally this weekend, and I think the platform team's done an amazing job making it super easy to develop. We got our version up and running pretty quickly, and then it's really about spending the time just honing and just working with the graphics and the fidelity and the performance. And I think I hear a lot of people just going, hey, it should just be an option and it's really easy. I think what I'd say to people is, like, it's great that people want those options, and we'll obviously try and provide whatever options we can. It's never quite as easy as people believe it is. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a huge amount of technical work to get a game running on any platform. It's not about even platform power. Like, that doesn't even come into it. It actually comes down to the game and the engine, and we, like, just something stupid with Sea of Thieves. Like, we want you to see a ship at, like, I'm going to get the metric wrong, but like 2,000 meters away in game terms. Mm-hmm. So if you see that ship on the horizon, like, we want you to see it at kind of the equivalent of like 2 kilometers away. And you think about things like that, like, yes, of course you can get it running faster and rendering faster, but if that means the water looks worse or the draw distance isn't as good, and some of those things are super important depending on what kind of game you're making. So I would always say, and I know this isn't the answer everyone wants to hear, I'd always say, like, let the teams, the rendering teams, the tech art teams, make the right decision on performance and frame rate for their game experience, because each game has very unique constraints and things. For us, it's like, hey, you've got to be able to see that ship at distance. You've got to, like, the water simulation has to work across the network. We want players to be able to interact with each other in a consistent way across all our platforms. Like, they're important. And then I say to my tech team, hey, you should go make the right decisions for Xbox One X, or PC, or Xbox One S, or the original Xbox One, to go enable us to do that.
You know, Craig,
or the potato, right?
Or the potato, right?
Yeah, I knew that potato quote would come back and haunt us. But I mean, what was awesome? Last time I was in Redmond, I was playing on my Surface with people back in the studio. I mean, I've got the Surface Book 2, which has got the NVIDIA graphics, with people back in the studio playing on Xbox One X, and that was like super cool. Just to be sitting playing on a laptop with a controller with people back in the studio on console.
That is pretty cool. We have a live call for Craig. Yes.
Yeah, M&C Mornings. You're on live with Craig Duncan. What's up?
Mighty Spidey from the Great White North. All hell J, all hell J. Before I question for Craig Duncan, I just wanted to say this is a great show with a great guest. It's a testament to all you three guys, Mooch, Crap, and Jay, that this show is really evolving. Less voicemail, more call-ins. You guys have really evolved and made this show classy to bring in guests like Craig Duncan. I'd like to see more of this. And thank you, Craig, for coming in. That's amazing for you to do something like this. I have 3 questions. I'm going to keep it to 1 question. I'm a developer, so I just want to know a little bit about if you can talk about your vector physics in this game. The one thing I do know, like how do you tell with the wind and stuff like that to put the cells? Well, I find it really neat the way you guys do, like you can see like the white strands of wind going by that you can adjust your cells to, even with the gunshots. When you take a gunshot, it almost has that bullet time or like the dispersion of air beside the bullet to say, oh yeah, I missed them that way. I have to aim a little bit more this way. So how did you guys come up with the vector physics for the wind and that whole like the gunshots and stuff like that? Because I find it pretty amazing, and that's how people sort of figure out how to put the cells certain ways in the gunshots. Thanks a lot for the questions. Thanks for being on the show. Keep it up, guys. Good job.
Wow, vector physics questions, Craig.
Yeah, to know that there was going to be a final exam today, Craig.
This is where my answer could very much show up my stupidity as a studio head. I mean, our team. So I'll answer it in a game experience way, and then what I'll do is I'm going to write vector physics on a little piece of paper and throw it back to my tech team to go and do an inside story or something. When I get back to the studio, I mean, the point he mentioned in the question which was really good, which was when we're doing things like firing cannons or adjusting the sails, we made a very deliberate decision in Sea of Thieves. We want to immerse you in the game all the time, so we don't want you working UI. Like, we don't want you just going, hey, I'm gonna move the sails to a certain angle or aim the reticule on a different reticule in the game to work out whether your cannon shot. So I mean, what the question said is 100% right, which is we have wind. Wind is simulated. You tell what's going on with the wind by the lines that show the markings of the wind, so you can move the sails and move the ship. And what that means, if you encounter another ship, you can get an advantage if you read the wind better, and the sails don't work in a physically real way, but they work in what we call a believably real way, which is they should work as you would expect them to work based on the things you can read, which is I can see the wind's going that way. If I push the sail into the wind or against the wind, my ship should go faster or slower. If I raise the sail so I haven't got as much, I'm probably going to get the term wrong here, drag on the wind, then I should be able to maneuver the ship more. And we're not trying to make a realistic physics sailing simulator, but we are trying to give you as a player, if you can read the things we have in the game and use it to your advantage, you should be able to play better. Same with the cannon flight. The cannonballs fly on a trajectory that we want you to look at the arc of the cannon fire and what's hitting and what's missing and adjust, not give you a, like say a reticule or an angle or the way games I think have kind of gone over the years, which is make it a very almost match the UI thing rather than actually, hey, I'm firing a cannon on a ship. I've got a load of cannonball. I can see the arc. And it does rely on more skill of the players, which means, back to what I think we talked about earlier, actually playing Sea of Thieves over a long period of time, you will become a better sailor in Sea of Thieves, a better crewmate in Sea of Thieves that is better at firing the cannons and using the cutlass, because all of these things are very learnable and have depth. To the vector physics, what I will do is I will speak to my tech team when I get back and say, hey, I got asked this question. And if that's something people are genuinely interested in, we do these little segments called Inside Stories where people much smarter than me get on videos that we post on YouTube and talk about how we've done something. I think we did some on the water tech very early on. We've done some on some of the game design principles. And the team like doing them, so it's actually really good for us. But we get a lot of really good feedback on them, particularly from developers, just because we're sharing with other people some of our approaches and thinking on how we've done stuff. So they tend to go a little bit deeper than I could do on this podcast, even if I wanted to. But they get really good responses. So I'll take a note of that, and if we can have it as a future Inside Story, then we can do that.
I'll be honest with you, Craig. See, myself personally, I enjoyed the question and I enjoyed the answer. To be honest, I mean, there's such a wide variety of folks that we have that listen to our show. We have people that are in the tech world, and I see that we do have another call. But that's an interesting subject. I was going to ask you a question, but Jay, if we do have a call, we'll take the caller's question.
Yeah, M&C Mornings, you're on live with Craig Duncan from Rare. What's up?
Hey, Mooch Crab, J-Dubs. Great show going today. On behalf of Xbox fans everywhere, this is Noof Nukem, and I just wanted to say, Craig, congratulations to you and the entire team at Rare on bringing us not only what is going to be a phenomenal game, but is an experience that we have never seen or played before. I just been playing the beta. I've been super impressed with it. It feels very polished, great game. So just congratulations to all you guys on the hard work. Glad to see it's finally just around the corner. We're really excited to dive into Sea of Thieves. So my question for you, Craig, bottom line is, I think the game is going to do really well. I think it's going to be successful, whether it's bought through physical copies, digital, or consumed throughout the Game Pass. But I'm just wondering what's your take on, its perception through the media and stuff like that? Because we've seen in the past great games not live up to great expectations simply because the media finds some sort of fault with the game and it gets overblown and then people pass it up. So I just wanted to know, are you concerned about how the media may perceive and the Metacritic scores and that sort of stuff for Sea of Thieves? And lastly, I just wanted to say, if you're looking for some great add-on content ideas, if you haven't came up with these already, I think a mission where you could find Conquer, deserted on an island, would be really cool. And so would rowboats. I think a rowboat idea for single players, or even just to be able to launch a rowboat off your ship, would be fantastic to go to and from shore and stuff like that. So that's my questions. Craig, congratulations, guys. Great show this morning. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Noof. Yeah,
that's very good.
They were great questions. I'll hit the robot one first, and then I'll come back to the media kind of perception thing. We actually had rowboats working in our very early prototype. I think the first prototype we ever built, we built saying, can we make it fun for 4 people to sail? And it was this super crude. We'll probably release the video post-launch, actually. And actually, we've got a really great video of Phil, Spencer, and Kudo playing the game for the first time in prototype form when we very first pitched the game, which is an awesome video we should release sometime. And we had rowboats were a thing that worked in that. It was definitely something that I'd say was like not an essential feature to what makes Sea of Thieves special. But they were kind of cool and fun, I think, as the caller rightly said. So I can imagine they're not in any confirmed post-launch roadmap, but I can imagine we'd probably look at that at some point down the line. And so I think it's something people in the team are quite passionate about. So we'll probably figure that out, I'm sure. On the perception thing, I believe in what we're making, and for me, every comment, every time I do a show like this with you guys where you believe in what we're doing. Every time I read a comment on Twitter that says, hey, I played Sea of Thieves all weekend with my kids and I've never had an experience like it, or people say, hey, I played with my brother or my wife, and we never play games together, but we've connected and played this game. Or I hear people say, I've made friends in Sea of Thieves. I never wanted to play multiplayer games. I've joined in Sea of Thieves and I've made friends, and now I feel like I'm in a community. Every time I read those sentiments and comments, the bullish part of me kind of says, I think we've done something pretty special. And as long as there's people that think that and love what we're doing, and I don't mean this in a dismissive way, I kind of think we've done what we set out to do. Not everyone will love Sea of Thieves. Not everyone will think Sea of Thieves is the game that we love. But for me, like, what we set out to do was make this incredible game that was welcoming and different and unique. And because players go on these fantastic stories and it's different every time, I think that makes it uniquely watchable, which is why we got all the Mixer and Twitch love we did when we took the NDA off. And people can pass opinion, and generally 90% of things I 90% of things I read about Sea of Thieves are positive, and I feel super thankful and appreciative and very humbled about that. 10% of it will be people going, hey, I don't get this game and it's not for me, and I think it, whatever, it sucks, whatever description they use, and maybe it's not for them, and maybe that's okay. Do I think we'll unanimously win over the internet and the world when we launch Sea of Thieves? Probably not. Will it be divisive? Yeah, probably. But as long as there's people that love it and love what we do, I'm kind of cool with that. And if there's some people that don't like it, that's okay as well. And there's plenty of other games that they can go play.
I like that answer.
Great answer.
Honestly, it's the greatest answer I think that's ever been stated on not just a podcast, but in gaming, because ultimately you set out, and again, I hate to keep referring to it, but I'm reading about a lot of these developers, and what they say all the time is that and you've reiterated it 2 or 3 times today, that everybody at Rare got together, they put their heart and soul into this game, and it is the very best that this game is going to be and will be, and you can't please everybody. So I think I still think it's going to be a massive success. And I think everybody knows that now. I mean, you can tell when you have so many people watching it on Twitch and Mixer, like they were over the open beta there. It was just, I think it's going to be very well received. One of the questions that I have written down here that I haven't got a chance to get to is, as a gamer, we all are, we always like completion. You see it all the time. It's like, oh, I beat this game. Some people do it in a quick record time. Some people, it's like they just want to enjoy it at their own pace. What would you say to people that have been asking you in the chat and have been writing me all week when they knew we were going to be discussing this with you? What is this sense of completion with Sea of Thieves? What is it as a gamer that I'm striving to do that you would say, you know what, Mooch, I think the way you have to look at it is like this. The game doesn't have an end. There's not going to be a curtain call. But what is it that we strive to do in Sea of Thieves as we march through the first 3-4 months?
Yeah, it's actually a great question, and it's one we even wrestled with ourselves as we talked about the game, because when you set out to make a game very open-ended, and I remember standing on stage at E3 in 2015 and say, hey, we're making a game with limitless possibilities, and we genuinely believed that and still do. I think we used those words because we didn't have better words at the time to describe what we were making. But the goal, to answer your question directly, the goal everyone should be thinking about attaining to is becoming a pirate legend. And that was the thing that we got excited on when we kind of landed on that, which is, we've got these 3 trading companies that are all in Sea of Thieves, all trying to kind of exploit their own kind of goals for the world, which is the gold hoarders, which are after riches and wealth and gold, and they have these magic keys, which means they want you going and getting chests on their behalf, solving riddles. We have the Order of Souls that are trying to draw the magic out of skeletons and pirates dead, that send you out on these bounty quests to go and collect their skulls and bring them back so they can extract the magic. And then we have the merchant traders, which basically, give you what you class as sort of traditional ferrying cargo type quests. So they'll send you out to go and get wildlife to take them to another trading post by a specific time. What we find is different players like different types of play styles. Players that are into the more dominating PvE aspects will definitely lean towards the kind of Order of Souls, kind of competitive quests, and people that want more exploration will probably lean towards the more gold hoarder, solving puzzles, riddles, finding treasure. I love the merchant stuff. I don't know what that says about me as a personality type, but going and just someone saying, "Hey, I need 2 pigs and a chicken delivered to this place by this time," I go, "Okay, that sounds awesome," and I'd go and find them on an island and put them in a crate and put them on my ship, and stay out of my way, anyone that wants to take my cargo off me if I'm trying to get it from point A to B. But what's unique about Sea of Thieves is this is all happening in the world at the same time. So every other ship you see will be on their own version of that adventure. So it's back to what I was saying before, which is the way you should think about it is it's actually about the story and the adventure you have. That's the takeaway. And I think a lot of games say to people, it's all about the destination. It's about completing it. It's about getting everything. It's about leveling up everything to the maximum thing. And Sea of Thieves is actually about it's about the journey, not the destination. It's about what you do on the way. The destination, though, is becoming a pirate legend. We've not been explicit in how you become a pirate legend, but let me just say, it's really about progressing with each of these trading companies and showing that you, as a pirate, can really show these trading companies how awesome you are and how you can go through their ranks. And each of the trading companies has unlocks, and they can unlock new unique items and cosmetics that show your pirate up in a unique way. So when you come up with someone else on your crew, they can see that you've gained status with these trading companies. Then when you become a pirate legend, there's some new exciting stuff that we've not really talked about, like the pirate hideout and that kind of stuff. But at launch, it's really, how do you become a pirate legend? And we want everyone really going on the quest to figure that out.
And that's the thing. And crap, I want you to have your question.
Yeah,
I think it was really cool that Craig said that. And I watched the interview he did with Larry on Inside Xbox about becoming the pirate legend, and that is something. And correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, because this is just the interpretation I got from the interview you did with Larry. Is a part of the game that's like, okay, it's not a reward to separate you necessarily from other players, but if you are someone that is just a dedicated Sea of Thieves player, that pirate legend and being able to go into there with those NPCs that have different quests and they have different rewards, those are for the, again, it doesn't change the gameplay. Everyone still can do the same, but it gives somebody who's been dedicated to the game a little bit more to do. Is that true?
That is true, and it's not. It'll be a feat to become a pirate legend.
I think it's wonderful, by the way. I do.
If your motivation is to become a pirate legend, you have some work to do, and that will recognize, you being a kind of dedicated, committed Sea of Thieves player that has to, I talk about the different play styles and different motivation. We'll have to show, skill and perseverance in all of those play styles. Whereas if you want to just go and achieve top rank in the Merchant Alliance and be the best merchant sailor in the game, then that's great. If you want, I retweeted a link earlier. There's a and I'm going to get the term of this wrong, but there's a group of kind of harmony singers that have been playing in the beta, sailing around Sea of Thieves, singing to people, singing shanties. It's incredible. It's literally, I retweeted it earlier today, and and again, but some players are just motivated by the social aspect and just having fun in the world. And honestly, if that's the way you want to go play Sea of Thieves, and then great. But no, they were literally sailing up to ships, singing shanties, and stopping people in their tracks and singing to them. Which again, just we talked about this kind of stuff in design meetings 2 years ago, and to see it happening now is just crazy.
That's very interesting, Craig. A lot of people wonder about the marketing for Sea of Thieves, or like, we haven't seen a lot of commercials and stuff. Was that something that you guys decided to do? Like, it's kind of hard to explain to people what Sea of Thieves is. So, are you guys more relying on like the streamers, and like you had the guy shoot himself out of a cannon for the world record? Are you guys doing like alternative marketing and hoping that it really picks up like that, or like what was the deal with the marketing with Sea of Thieves?
Yeah, I mean, we have a super close partnership with the marketing team, and Aaron Greenberg and I. Oh, I can hear myself repeating. Hopefully, no one else can. Yeah, we have our marketing team and the studio work really closely. Aaron and I catch up super regularly, and he's a good guy, and again works very hard to make sure that we get all the support we need to. I think you mentioned it earlier, which is if you think about Sea of Thieves over time, it's not about building day one hype to have the biggest launch we can around day one. So we've been very, very, very intentional about, we did the tech alphas. We've been growing this insider community. I think our insider community is about, I think by the last number I seen was over 500,000 people, which is incredible in itself. We took the NDA off. We had all the streaming and people making YouTube content, and that was great. So I actually feel okay about how we're looking coming into launch. I think like pre-order numbers are good. I think the Game Pass momentum is good. I think there's a good buzz about the game. There's a lot of people talking about the game. There's a lot of people want to play and stream. So it's not like I'm going into launch, having conversations with our marketing team saying, hey, look, I'm really worried that no one knows about Sea of Thieves and we haven't got awareness and we should go, pay millions of dollars for some TV ads to go get people to understand Sea of Thieves. I think our momentum is really good. Obviously, I want to make sure Sea of Thieves continues to do that in the long term. We did our launch trailer. We've got another thing that I think is launching Monday, in the trailer family, if that's the right term. So something else we're doing that's interesting in on the sort of trailer front, which I think goes out Monday. And then we've got some more stuff planned through kind of April and May, and then obviously we'll build to E3 and that kind of stuff. So for me, I like as the sort of studio head and the franchise owner, like I kind of feel good about where we are now. So I don't feel we need to go do a ton of stuff that we're not doing, but equally I want us to keep doing stuff after launch. And this is back to the service-based game. It's not, for me, it's not about making Sea of Thieves the biggest launch in the world. It's about having a good launch that we can go and build on and keep people playing the game after that.
So is there a chance, Craig, we're going to see you and some of the team of Rare at E3?
Again, I'm going to try and not get myself in trouble with...
Sorry, I did set you up there, Craig. I apologize. Try to be a reporter.
I mean, E3 conversations have started. We've started our E3. We actually started at the beginning of the year, which was funny. So I'm kind of in those conversations, and
that's very cool.
Yeah.
No, we're excited. It just shows the game evolving, and the fact that Rare is still very much.
It's like games. We're getting Sea of Thieves right now, but we already want to know if he's going to be at E3.
Well, you know what's funny? When we had the gentleman on, we had a developer as well with us, community manager from Kingdom Come Deliverance, and he was like, he says to me, Mooch, he goes, now just don't get too deep into the DLC stuff with me because we're working on it. You know what I mean? It was great. It was so much, and the first question out of everybody's mouth was, so how about that DLC? And he's like, so no, that was great. Crap. If you have another question for Craig before we,
you know what? I was gonna ask you, like in terms of, the game seems like a very social game that people would want to play with friends. Has it surprised you that so many people play solo and that they actually claim that it's super calming to do so? Because I was the type of person that I was like, this is going to be a game that's fun to play with your friends. And then when you look at the statistics that you guys had on Inside Xbox, almost as many people went solo as anything else. So has that kind of surprised you guys at all?
We knew it. Has it surprised us? I don't think so. We knew we always had to have a kind of solo play in a shared world story, and part of that was, hey, maybe my friends aren't online, maybe I've just got some time. I mean, I literally spent 3 hours this morning playing solo. I got up, fired up the Xbox I had in my room, and just continued on some stuff that I was doing from yesterday. Whereas yesterday I grouped up with some of the people in the Rare studio and we went and done some stuff together. So I think we always wanted this notion of solo play in a shared world. But for us, it's always like, the world is always shared. There's always other ships around. You've always got that risk of seeing another ship, because that's the moment that always feels special and unique, and arguably is very much in the pirate spirit, that ship on the horizon moment. But it's definitely, and we've been very intentful about this in our kind of UI as you go into the game. Like, what we say to people is, matchmake with a crew. If you can find a crew of people, whether that's through Twitter or looking for groups or the Xbox clubs or people you game with, that's awesome. And we know Sea of Thieves is great with friends. If you matchmake with people you don't know, there's a lot of shared goals in Sea of Thieves that encourage you to cooperate. And actually, like, going on a ship with 3 or 4 people on the big galleon is it is the experience that will let you learn the most, and you're working with other people. So we know that's kind of, it's more helpful. When you sail in a duo, you're obviously working with someone else. That's been pretty popular. When you sail on your own, you're kind of doing everything yourself. Like, you've got to work out where you're going to go. You've got to go, find your own treasure, do your own merchant quest, sail the ship, work out your navigation. So it's definitely what we'd say is more of an advanced player mode. But actually, a lot of people have really jumped into that and been very, very positive about it. But I think we've always tried to set expectation, which is like, hey, sailing in a world with Sea of Thieves, you probably need to play it a little bit differently, and it's a bit more precarious because you're on your own.
Very interesting stuff. Hey, Craig, we wanted to say thank you for taking your time out of your day. We've taken 2 hours of your life up to talk about this game. We're all very excited for it, and we honestly wish you nothing but success. I took the day off Tuesday. I'm going to be playing it all day. So, yeah.
Well,
really
there you go, folks. Now
Yeah.
I'm really excited that there's no penalty for progression, because by the time I get home on Tuesday, Crap will already be a pirate legend.
I'm ready, man. I've been watching Pirates of the Caribbean. I've got my my args down, so I'm ready to go,
Nice.
man. I'm ready to have some fun with that, man. So we just wanted to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know there's a lot of people that ask you, and you're busy running the, talking to everybody. So we definitely appreciate time for taking it out and helping us and getting to know a little bit more about the game. And hopefully we ask some good questions.
Yep.
No, it was great, and you guys have been supporters and Crap. I've seen you kind of being very pro Sea of Thieves all this time, and again, like, it's important to us that the Xbox community and the people that represent it love what we do, get our vision. So thanks to you all for supporting Sea of Thieves and being part of our journey.
Is there any chance, Craig, that we'll see you streaming any Sea of Thieves on Tuesday?
I would love to. Tuesday's probably not going to happen, and we've had so many invites for kind of press and live streams and stuff. And literally, I'm going to sit in a big meeting room with loads of monitors around with all of my services engineers. Like, and again, I don't mean this in a dismissive way. Like, basically being ready and reacting to, like, we are going to see more scale and more people playing Sea of Thieves on Tuesday than we've ever had to cope with before. We feel okay about it, but we're going to be watching things and making sure we don't have any issues, and if we do have any issues, getting fixes in place pretty quickly. So my hope is we have a very smooth launch, but yeah, we all know we're probably going to get hit harder with people joining and playing Sea of Thieves than we ever have before. So I guess I'll just take this opportunity. If we do have any issues or there are any launch bumps, just know there's a lot of us in the room kind of taking it very seriously, and we'll get on stuff as quick as we can and try and solve stuff. But fingers crossed, it will be a smooth launch.
Well, bravo to you and the team.
I'm hoping for a smooth launch too.
Me too.
Me too. Craig's like, yes. Me too.
Thank you so much for joining us, Craig. Hopefully you'll come back someday and talk some more gaming with us. It's been
That'd be great.
An absolute pleasure.
We'd love to.
Thank you very much. And Jay, close us out with the Mooch and Crap theme song, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you very much.
Mooch and crap, mooch and crap. They talk about games and no drama smack. Search the web for media ties to catch these ponies in their lives. Look out, here comes Mooch and Crab. Are they bots? Listen up. They have Mountain Dew in their blood. NeoGaf, Xbox Reds, Crap's got Tim Dog all over it. Hey there, here comes Mooch and Crab. From a tweet of Phil, Xbox hate will arrive like the Scorpio. Mooch and Crab, but just in time. Mooch and Crap, Mooch and Crap. Any gaming do a Mooch and Crap. YouTubing is their core. A thumb in is its reward to them. Xbox is one big hangout. Whenever there's a game out, you'll find Mooch and Crap.